Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
It sure is.
You recommended a movie to me.
Here we go.
Cheers, cheers. You recommended a movie to me that I've been meaning to see for a long time.
Okay.
And then for some reason I think I just sort of lost interest in it, and
well, it's called Slow West.
Right.
So that adjective at the beginning is going to turn you off.
But it is a recent Western,
yes,
which you think would have drawn me in,
yes,
starring Michael Fassbender.
Oh.
So, in short, listen, I'm really glad I watched this movie.
Oh, good. All right.
I enjoyed it. It really does. It's interesting when you watch a Western these days, when you watch any new Western. What you're watching for, right, is a very careful treading of honoring the tradition of being Western, but also a very careful, sometimes less careful, sometimes more careful, little intrusions of how do we make it different? How do we honor the tradition but make it different, right? Some of these movies, it goes way out of whack.
I mean, you are so right. We're almost locked into the tropes of the Western genre.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly, we're looking at how can they possibly give us something new that we would be interested in.
Right, and see, but the trick is not to give us something too new.
No, exactly.
Right? And so, watching this movie, and the premise of it is that there's this young Scottish kid. He's come to America to follow his love out west. She is settled out west with her dad.
Yeah.
And he is going to find her,
yeah,
right? And presumably they're going to be in love and all this stuff.
He defines the word greenhorn.
Yes, exactly. Right. And along the way, he meets up with an outlaw,
yes,
played by Michael Fassbender.
Who better than an outlaw to guide you through?
Right. You're right. You don't want to be with another guy like yourself, otherwise you're dead.
Right, exactly.
And so a relationship buds between those two,
yeah,
which is really cool. And the trick is, the little nuance here, is that for some reason, I don't know that we ever find out why, but the girl and the father are wanted.
Yes, I know, Rose.
So there's a $2,000 bounty on their heads, and Fassbender knows this.
Yes.
So the central tension of the film is, when they do find the girl, is the outlaw, Fassbender, going to kill her for...
And we have a band of very bad outlaws looking for them because of that.
Led by the always sweaty Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes, I know.
This guy, when I look at this guy, in most of his films, unless he's really cleaned up, he looks like he smells like pennies. You know that guy? It's always just a little, his hands are a little yellow.
No.
His brow is always greasy and sweaty. This is what Ben Mendelsohn looks like.
And as you're talking about, what can you add to it? It seems to me something in the cinematography is new. There's a crispness, there's a beauty that, well, of course I was drawn to Westerns very early as a young man by Technicolor and by the expanse of the West. And that just was what I thought Westerns were about. Westward ho. And there's something here also that, and I don't know what it is. I'm trying to find out what those differences are that make this an unusual.
Well, one of the things I picked up on is Fassbender is introduced to us as a tough, laconic, in the Eastwoodian tradition, or any classic Western tradition of the quiet outlaw, right? The gunslinger.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of gunslinging that happens.
No.
It's really the thrust of the movie is about these two men and their relationship, and how it deepens as they...
Yes.
In a way, it's a road movie. But,
it is. You're right. A buddy movie.
Right.
And something, I think one of the limitations of the film is that I wanted more of exactly what you're talking about.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. You're looking for, where's my Western stuff, right? You can enjoy the movie on its own terms, but as a Western fan, you're looking for a little more of that classic stuff. And I'll tell you where the movie lost me a little bit. As lovely as the score was,
Okay.
it is not a Western score. And I started thinking about how
good.
the music in a Western sort of seals the overall deal, right? The music has to come together in a way that you don't necessarily believe it's from that world, but that it captures the world's mood, right?
And let me add to what you're saying. My disappointment, my further disappointment, and it's a small disappointment. I give so much credit to people who try and do well with something as established as this genre. I'm disappointed in the treatment given Rose. Not that she doesn't get everything that she deserves, but she's an older woman, and he's hardly, this kid, Cody Smith, whatever his name is hardly worthy of this woman.
That really worked for me. Because we only see Rose in two ways through the film. We see her in flashbacks, right? That the kid is remembering her before, when they were together in Scotland. And she does seem very girlish. She does seem, you get the distinct impression she's a little bit older than he is, but you do feel like she's playful, she's girlish. And when we finally meet her near the end of the film, she's a young woman. She's not girlish. Right, she's a young woman.
Yes.
And
a tough young woman.
I thought that was a beautiful sort of, it was handled really well because, oftentimes in these films, what happens to the characters is that journey, it changes them, right?
Yes.
And especially in a Western, the movement west turns people either hard, it turns them bad, it kills them.
Well, I hate to...
You're always transformed. And so when we do meet her, she has been transformed by that journey west.
And I hate to say that you've convinced me, but you're right. I was just trying to figure something that I was disappointed in. But now that I see it, you're reminding me too of a thought that I had. She is the dream of the West. It is, as you have described it, that is she as well. From this lass in the Highlands to a very tough survivalist lady. And outside of his reach, and isn't that in fact the West? Isn't that the dream that you have of this West and the toughness that it becomes? So you have to be Fassbender, Silas I think is his name.
Yeah.
You have to be that guy to survive. And you can't beat not only your inexperience with women, but also these guys who are after her, after the reward for her.
And to your point, one of the touches that I really loved at the end of the film was there's this backwards movement where the film tracks all the bodies that were left behind in the wake of this journey, right? And so you see these dead bodies, and it takes us all the way back to the first victims, however they met their demise. You see those bodies last. So the first people that drop, you see them last.
Yes.
And I thought that was an interesting way to say, hey, remember that this trip westward, for both these characters and for both in America's history, was littered with dead bodies.
So where do you think it fits? Now in my mind, for modern Westerns, 310 to Yuma comes right to my, and some stuff that Costner's done.
Open range.
Yes.
Open range, 310 to Yuma. I think even as flawed as it is, the Denzel Washington Magnificent Seven is a fun movie.
Yes.
This one, there's some other ones that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Meek's Cutoff.
Okay. Right.
I haven't seen some of these more. Yeah. I don't want tedious.
I know you don't.
And this, I gotta say, I was really, I didn't think I was gonna like it, and I did. And Michael Fassbender got me to thinking about that guy.
Yeah.
He is perfect for this. That square jaw. I know he's tamping down his Irish lilt a little bit, but the little bit of it that comes through really works. And his toughness and his sweetness are well balanced here. This is a role that serves that well. I did start thinking, where has this guy been?
Which guy?
Michael Fassbender.
I don't know. I'm sure he's working on something. He's way too talented. not to be working on something.
Yeah, it's just
maybe a
interesting.
big project. But you know, in this film, maybe my final thought about this film is that I have recommended it to other people, and I'm thinking of a particular fan of ours who responded thumbs up on this.
Well, if you heard that scream, that
Yeah,
was...
it did. That's our fans.
Yeah, it's like the Beatles.
That there is something that comforts me about this, because I see all of the indicators of the Western genre that I love.
Yeah.
But I also feel that it has a modern pace to it, even though it's called Slow West. I don't think there's anything really slow about this movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, it puts all those together to say, I'm tough, the way I'm tough on comedy, I'm tough on Westerns.
Yeah.
This one I accept.
Yeah, it was great. It was, I really enjoyed it. Real quick, I just wanted to ask you about, there's this nice little interlude in the middle where Jay, the young man, he escapes from Silas,
Right.
leaves, and he runs into this German guy named Werner. In the middle, you remember that? In the middle of the open expanse.
Yes!
He runs into Werner, who's full of wisdom,
Yes!
and then just leaves him
Then he
high
looks
and dry.
Wait a
With
minute,
an egg.
got better one.
Yeah.
Don't they meet up with some kind of a Germanic trio singing?
Oh, they're like black Frenchmen. They're like
Yes,
from
something
the,
like that.
yeah, they're from Haiti or something.
Yes, from Haiti, out of nowhere. So there are things that
They have a really lovely exchange. The guy says
Yes.
to Jay, "Do you like my music?
Yes.
Do you like our music?" And he says, "Yes, love is the universal language." And of course,
Yeah, I know it.
that's what there's this romantic impulse that the film has that I think is different than most westerns, right? That might
Yeah,
be one of the
that's good.
differing
Yeah, that's good.
elements, is this romantic element. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, at the end of the film, one character gets shot in the
Yes.
heart,
Yes.
falls backwards, and then salt falls into the... He knocks over a little thing of salt, a salt cellar,
Very good.
and then salt pours into
Right.
the open wound.
And that's another good point, is that there are things that happen here that you can't necessarily anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
Westerns in most cases, you pretty much got the arc.
Yeah.
On this one, I was a bit surprised at some of the turns. at the
Yeah,
end.
I was too.
And I thought that was the modern
Right.
element of it.
Yeah, namely that the gunslinger that we've been depending on really turns out to not be much of a gunslinger. Anyway,
Anyway,
great little movie. I'm glad you...
it's called Slow West,
Slow West. It's not as slow as it sounds.
and it's on Netflix.
Mhm.
You have to dig for it. You have to put it up there in that little magnifying glass and find it.
That's right.
But I think, and it has the virtue of being only about an hour and a half or less.
Yeah, perfect.